In theory, we are now live. Hey, everyone. Matt, can you hear me all right?
I can. Hello.
How are you doing today? Um, if you're out there, because we're still waiting for some of the screens to update on my side, just chime in, say hello, let us know where you are coming from. I see at least one person typing, so that's good.
Good sign. Always good to have at least one person typing.
Oh, Waco. Hey, Brett. Got a few people in kicking off the day. Really need to up my webinar game and get kind of like an intro music going in some form. There are certainly better folks than I am. Santa Clara, Baltimore. Oh, we've got some good East versus West here. Matt, where are you calling in from today?
I'm actually calling in from Provincetown, Massachusetts on Cape Cod. I normally live in Bethesda, Maryland, just outside of DC, but it is the annual Cape Cod trip. So my partner and I were just in Nantucket, and now we're up here. And really, really thrilled to get to talk with you, Sean.
Yeah, very excited for this conversation as well. Thank you very much for making time in the middle of your trip to do that. Really appreciate you.
Oh, of course. I can't just go, walk in the bay and eat oysters all day. So I'm excited to talk about this topic, and definitely data-driven marketing and go-to-market is very, very near and dear to my heart.
I'm really excited to share the conversation we've been having with everybody here. Looks like we have someone joining from Pakistan. Welcome. I'm not sure what time it is there, but I'm sure it can't be great. So thank you for making time to join us. I think we're going to kick off a poll here and get a sense of everybody's role as well. Oh, I guess I have to decide what mine is going to be. Give people another minute or two here to just click on their calendar notifications, wrap up their last meeting, wander over and say hello.
Yeah, and I'm actually really curious about the result of this poll, because I think at Sprig, the go-to-market product-led growth journey has been extremely collaborative across marketing, product, engineering, sales, certainly operations. That's been my role. So yeah, I'm really curious who's joining us and what roles you all are in.
Yeah, if you don't see the poll, it should be in the bottom right. Click over and let us know what role you are coming from. Nobody representing engineering yet, but data with the win so far. Okay. Yeah, strong data presence today, which is great. I see growth in operations there as well. So I think we'll have a little bit for everyone as part of this conversation. Well, why don't we get started here? We'll start with a couple of introductions, and then we can take a look at where the poll ends up. So just to quickly introduce myself, hey everyone, I'm Sean. I'm the Chief Product Officer here at Census. My background is more on the data side. I answer data for the poll, so I'm skewing the results slightly. I'm calling in from Seattle today, and very excited to be here with Matt to really continue a conversation that we've been having over the past couple of weeks with some really interesting thoughts and conversations. So excited to share it. But before I do, Matt, do you want to quickly introduce yourself?
Sure. Hi, I'm Matt Avero Sturm. I use he, him pronouns. I normally live in Bethesda, Maryland, just outside of DC. And I've worked in marketing and business development earlier in my career. I've been an SDR, I've done full cycle sales, I've done account-based marketing, and I really ended up in this marketing operations space when I wanted to do all of that, but do it in a data-informed way at scale with a little bit more real-time data. And that brought me to Sprig. I joined the Sprig team really early, and Sprig is a B2B enterprise SaaS company that helps product teams ensure that user research is incorporated across the product development process. So I joined Sprig really early on, and some of my earliest projects were ensuring that our sign-up data was coming through right, ensuring that we were really building a product-led growth journey across our free trial, across our various self-serve and paid plans. So it's been a very collaborative project with our growth product team, our engineering team, our marketing team. And I actually recently left Sprig to pursue fractional work in go-to-market ops. So always happy to talk with other early stage companies trying to do this.
Very cool. Well, I think we're going to touch on some of those topics today, but there are likely a ton of potential questions that you could have for Matt. So let's keep that chat live. Feel free to throw questions along the way. If there's something really pertinent, we'll try and jump on it, but we're going to save some time at the end here for Q&A as well. You don't need to wait, though. Just feel free to throw them in, and we'll make sure to go back and look for the really interesting questions. So just to give you a quick summary of our agenda today, as I mentioned, we're going to be following on a conversation that Matt and I have been having over the past couple of weeks, actually related. Let me see if I can pull this up here. Risky move. Nope, not quite. I got to switch my tabs in a little bit here. A conversation that actually was inspired by a post that Matt made on LinkedIn. I don't think I've ever recommended you follow somebody on LinkedIn before, but I recommend you follow Matt on LinkedIn. He's got a ton of really interesting content and posts. So if you like what we're taking a look at here today, please take a look at what Matt has to share on the LinkedIn side. So we will jump in and take a look at the beginning of this conversation, this idea of the marketing stack is the data stack, and what B2B marketers can learn from some of the lessons B2C marketers have learned over the past couple of years. We'll talk about bridging that gap with marketing and data, and then we've got a little bit of a demo of how Sprig and Census can actually work together around some of the use cases that we'll explore. And then finally, as I mentioned, we're going to save some time at the end for Q&A as well, but feel free to keep those conversations or those questions coming in the meantime. So just before we jump into the questions with Matt, a really quick introduction to Census, of what Census is or who Census is. So we are a data activation platform built directly on your data warehouse. So we live in this world, kind of bridging between data and marketing and operations and the rest of the business. So we help our customers take their first party data, the most important data that they know about their customers, and get that out to the rest of their product stack, including with tools like Sprig. So a number of different integrations. And I will both show you a little bit here today how to use our no-code segmentation tool, Audience Hub, to generate some of that data and then get that out to Sprig with one of the use cases that Matt is going to talk about here. So I'll show you a little bit about what both products actually look like here in a few minutes. But before we get there, the inspiration for this conversation, the idea that Matt had originally sort of sprung with us, or we started this conversation, this idea that data stack and the MarTech stack are really coming together and merging. And I think where that conversation started was this question of why now? What has happened and why now? So maybe that's where we start again here, Matt. Why now? Why this change now?
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't that many years ago before, it hasn't been that many years since using data in B2B marketing meant using open and click data on emails. Like, did they open my email? Did they click on it? And I'm going to segment their journey based on that. And since then, the world has just totally changed. Like, B2C companies have delivered incredible personalized experiences, and we as consumers really want those. There's also been really increasing privacy and the death of cookies. You know, all these email click metrics don't work as well together anymore. You know, users are on sessions on their phone, on their work laptop, on their personal laptop, and matching all that data together has really changed. And then just the availability of tools, whether it's enrichment tools, ad targeting tools, the product-led journey, and all the tooling that's come from that. And marketers have really needed to shift, spend efficiently, and doing that means adapting to the modern data and modern personalization environment.
Yeah, maybe talk a little bit about the personalization environment specifically. I feel like that was one of those cases that really stood out to me as this is new. This is something that users are expecting.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think now that so many users just expect to be able to get into free products before they purchase them, or at least get into email journeys, and users are expecting those journeys to be really personalized to where they are in the product. So, for example, if I'm looking at purchasing design software, even if I'm a business user and I want to do that at work, I expect to be able to get into Figma, have a free account, maybe upgrade my account. I expect all of Figma's outreach to me to not just say, "Hey, Matt, as a head of marketing operations, you should buy, you know, marketing design software," but I expect that outreach to really say, you know, "Hey, Matt, I saw you're working on logo products and you've added a colleague. Is this something your team is thinking about for brand purposes?" And I expect a really high quality journey there. And some of that is just that, you know, I shop online, I get great email campaigns from the brands that I buy from. You know, I'm used to Spotify Wrapped sending me this incredible experience every year, and you know, I want that. So Peloton, for example, like we can see back in 2018, they released their month in review, where it's showing, you know, here's the days you worked out each month, here's how many minutes. So when we're thinking about B2B ROI calculators and personal ROI journeys, we can think back, you know, 5 years to Peloton doing this really early on. And even earlier, I think in 2015, Eventbrite used some really smart search technology to show you, if you like this event, you'd probably also like these events, and really good, you know, recommendations, similar to Netflix. So as consumers, we've been expecting this for 8 years at this point. But in B2B, if I go use a B2B product, let's say if I go use Salesforce, I'm not necessarily getting emails from Salesforce saying like, "Hey, Matt, I saw you're doing account segmentation with territory data. You should really look at enrichment tools and integrating those with Salesforce." So B2B marketing has not fully caught up to this B2C personalization trend that we all expect at this point.
Do you see any B2B companies out there ahead on that trend
Oh,
or catching up?
absolutely. I think, and I'd bet that's a lot of who is on this call, but I think companies like Loom is a great example. They send great, here's how many minutes of meetings you saved. I think Calendly is a really good B2B X B2C that has a great journey. I'm in the middle of their journey for one of my email accounts right now. Um, I think it's a bit of a missed opportunity for Zoom. I think Zoom could have done a great job at this, and you know is probably still catching up here. I know they had a lot of scale to manage on their end, so I'm sure they'll get here soon. Yeah, but I really think all of that, those companies with PLG journeys are definitely ahead.
I think that actually kind of sets up the next question that we had talked about here, what it means for a marketer to be data driven. So maybe you could take a stab at that, and also why a marketer would want to be data driven, I guess, based on some of the things that we're seeing on B2C.
Yeah, in terms of why marketers would want to be data driven, I mean, every marketing team in the last 6 months has been told, cut your budget or constrain your budget, really make sure you're working with your team efficiently. So every marketing team out there is trying to do more with less right now, and spend ad dollars really efficiently, use marketing campaigns really efficiently. And what that means is they're trying to make sure that every single sign up, every single webinar conversion, every single new customer is just on the best journey possible and is the most likely to reach the next stage in their funnel. And it's not that that didn't matter before, but I think the margins have gotten a lot closer on how effective experiments need to be. So I think every B2B marketing team out there is thinking about this today. And in terms of what it means, there is better use of existing marketing tooling, so data enrichment like ZoomInfo, Clearbit, Apollo, just making sure that journeys are really segmented by persona and customer type. There is definitely, as companies shift to a product-led growth journey, and as many more companies offer free trials or at least demo accounts, there is combining that product data, that user-provided data, conversion data, and that advertising data, the buyer journey data, as well as the firmographic and outside enrichment data, getting all of that into one place, and making sure that journeys are very specific. So for example, if someone is an admin user and a product manager and at an enterprise company, that journey is going to be different than if any of those data points were different.
Do you see that as a big cultural fight internally at companies, or is this kind of inevitable that they will go this way?
Oh, that is a good question. I've actually talked to a few marketing leaders recently, and I think a lot of companies right now are, playing musical chairs with their marketing leaders. So I think a lot of
Oh,
marketing
interesting.
leaders are, inheriting new organizations or new responsibilities right now. And I think some of them are coming into organizations where there's been a bit of a culture of like, what's our webinar for next week? What's our event for next week? How can we just keep churning things out the way we've been? What's our next ad creative? Without really thinking, how are we going to make that the best part of our integrated user journey? How are we going to include automation? We've gotten 18 minutes into this webinar without mentioning AI. So,
Well done.
how are we going to be using AI in this journey, and smart webhooks that could be personalizing some of that email copy? So I do think there's a bit of a cultural shift. I don't know who's sending out those laughing emojis, but I love them. Definitely, I think there's a bit of a cultural shift, as sometimes new, sometimes existing leadership gets a new charter to be doing things better and more efficiently. And the existing model might have been a bit more rinse, repeat, and scale in this growth at all costs world that we're moving away from.
Very, very interesting. I think one of the questions that we got actually from a census customer ahead of this webinar was kind of managing that cultural change, and beyond just marketing as well, sort of thinking about how that communication can happen with marketing, data, and the rest of the company. It felt like you had a really interesting story about how you approach this at Sprig. So maybe you want to walk us through that to start, and we can talk a little bit about what bridging that gap looks like.
Yes. Yeah. And I should share that when I joined Sprig 2.5 years ago, I joined specifically because I wanted to go somewhere product led. I wanted to go somewhere that was committed to delivering really great experiences with really great data. And I wanted to go somewhere that had marketing and data at this really strategic place in the company, not as a cost reduction for sales place in the company, but as a key part of this product led journey. Because if you're at a company where your users are signing up for your product before they're signing up for a demo, or where they're signing up for your content before they're signing up for a demo, where they're somewhere in your database or journey, then the first brand experience they have is with your marketing and with the personalization that your marketing and product is able to deliver as part of that journey. So I joined and was, immediately working with our product team, our engineers, our, data engineers on how we could combine the marketing and product journeys. So for example, how we could have users book meetings inside our free product with the correct sales rep, or how, when users interacted with upgrade related functionality in our free product, how that could trigger email journeys to them, how that could route them to the right sales rep, how we could retarget them with certain advertising, how we could make sure that they got the right support they needed to access that upgraded related functionality and ultimately convert to a sales meeting. And what that meant was we were working with a lot of engineers and product team members on go-to-market problems. And it became really important to make sure that even our most, back-end engineer who was managing the data that ultimately fed this model, that back-end engineer really needed to understand our go-to-market motion. So we had a lot of conversations about, what is pipeline? Does our engineering team understand what is a lead? What is pipeline? What is an opportunity? What is a closed won deal? Does our engineering team really, of course, they understand our persona from a product perspective and how our persona at Sprig would want to be interacting in our product because our engineering team is building the product. But do they understand how does that user want to be sold to? So I think really having these conversations and making sure our team understood that context, let them be incredibly, incredibly helpful and creative about, like, hey, what if we sent, one thing our team is doing right now actually is figuring out how do we send over a metric of has anyone on this team installed the product in an integrated way, and then their onboarding emails should change based on that data. And the other side, it's not just, marketers educating engineers about go-to-market. It's obviously, if you work on the go-to-market side, really leaning into how can I help the engineering and product team. So that was a lot of, joining the spec calls for product releases that were going to involve go-to-market or data functionality, spending a lot of time on those calls. That was teaching myself some more engineering related tools like segment and being able to debug segment calls with our engineers, joining bug bashes and QA sessions, and really just leaning into like, how can I be a good trusted partner? And how can I make sure that this incredibly valuable team of engineers and our data team and product team, sees me and our go-to-market team as a real partner to them and part of the same motion.
I really like the idea of a trusted partner. That absolutely makes sense to me. It sounds like you kind of cherry picked Sprig as the perfect company for you that was well along this journey.
Yeah.
Any advice for companies that maybe a little bit earlier on how they could kind of get to that stage?
Yeah, that is such a good question because I think some companies have a bit of a complex of like, oh, there's all these smart companies out there doing product-led growth, and I'm just trying to like get to next week or get to next month and hit my pipeline number. And I can't even think about this right now. So I think if I were at a company that weren't here yet but wanted to be, the first thing I would do is, one, recognize what has already been done. Like, every company out there has some smart data idea that someone has come up with at some point in time that you're using in some way that people feel good about. So be the cheerleader about the thing that people already feel good about, already works. Then I would have a lot of conversations, kind of, again, like we just talked about, kind of make all the right friends in the company, because everybody has ideas. Everybody has some ways that their company could be more data oriented, could have some smarter motions. And I might, try to get another quick win or so that people feel good about. And then I would start really mapping out the user journey, maybe presenting the user journey on a company all hands, just making sure there's shared company understanding of this user journey, maybe sharing some examples of companies that you look up to or peer companies doing something cool, whatever your company culture is. If you're really competitor obsessed, share the competitor example. So whatever is going to kind of get people's juices going. And then, just keep finding projects, making sure you have the right conversations to make this happen successfully, and then celebrating the wins and making everyone involved, because these are all such cross-functional projects. So making everyone involved feel really good about them.
That's great. And that leads perfectly into the next question I wanted to ask here. So if anyone out there is looking for some of those great ideas that other smart companies have done or taken a look at, Matt put together this list of some of the audiences that I think that you have been inspired to take a look at, or that have been really valuable. Do you want to talk through the couple that we're looking at here?
Yes. Okay. So I think every B2B company is different. Everyone has their own journey, but there's pretty common points in most B2B company funnels that are really important to kind of, as we think about our funnel stages, we can align most of those to certain audiences. And these audiences are often what we're using to actually make the personalization happen. Like, once we get from the big brainstorm into the how are we going to do it, we're often talking about these audiences. So one, as we all think about making spend efficient, what are our product users or webinar signups, demo requests, whatever our big conversion point is, what's our big conversion point that signed up through paid advertising? Since that's who we're thinking of, are they efficient? Are we getting the right ones? Are they successful? We're also thinking about people at the very top of the funnel with our lower intent conversions, the people just starting the flywheel. Then once we've got people converted and they're in, whether it's our free product, our trial product, whatever version of the product people are first getting into, who are these users who are getting to their first point of value, like whatever that aha moment is. So if I just signed up for Calendly and I just scheduled, I put my schedule in, I sent my link out to someone and they booked a meeting with me, suddenly I've just seen my aha moment. So you want your group of users who has just hit that point. Then, especially as marketers, and for the data folks on this call, I'm sure we've all gotten that question of, we had a compliance update, we had a legal update, we need to send that obligatory new COVID policy email to this special group. Can you get this group of admin users or privileged users, account owner users? And it's always a really last minute ask. And it's, I would say, definitely a best practice to have a way to get this group ahead of time before that ask comes in. And finally, very bottom of our funnel, we've got our customers, they've paid, they've converted, they're onboarded ideally. But again, in this economic climate, every B2B company is thinking about customer retention, and marketing teams, since it is harder to get a new customer right now, marketing teams are often also devoting resources to customer retention and at-risk customers. So having an audience of knowing who are my at-risk customers before they churn.
Yeah, I know that on the data side, I have definitely set up some of these audiences ad hoc, last minute. We just got to get it out as well. So having these kind of pre-thought, pre-baked, formalize it so that multiple teams can reference them and use them. pays dividends. I'm curious as well from the audience if there are from our audience, whether you have audiences that come to mind for you. If you've got ones that should be on this list, in the spirit of giving inspiration to everybody, please share them in the chat. We would really love to hear them.
Yeah, definitely. Tell us your go-tos.
Yeah, you share your secrets. So one thing we want to do here is dive into how you might actually use one of these audiences as part of using Census and Sprig together. So this is a really great example that Matt recognized. And Matt, maybe you want to introduce this while I switch over to the demo here.
Yeah, absolutely. So this is definitely a question that we've had at Sprig. And again, in the last 6 months, marketers have been laser focused on efficiency and paid ad conversion quality. So when you're running paid ads, Facebook, LinkedIn, Google, Twitter, wherever you run those ads, those users that you're getting and paying a bit more for, are they quality users? Are they quality signups when they start using your product or start paying, or when they book a demo? Are those users going to be as effective as your organic users? So we're talking here about for companies that might have a free trial or a freemium product where you can get to the website and convert directly from paid. Sean is going to show us how can you sort of narrow in on that paid signups audience, and then how can you use Sprig to see, is this audience successful in using your product, and what's their experience of it? Really, are you getting the right users with the right context to make this a really effective spend of your marketing dollars?
I'm gonna do my best to demo all of this here. Being time conscious, I know that there's some Census users, and I suspect also some Sprig users in the audience today. So play along. Some of this will already be familiar to you, but hopefully you'll learn a little bit as well. So we're inside Census, and at a really high level, when Census is working with Sprig, you can send two types of data. You can send users and properties about those users, as well as events. And Sprig will use that to both trigger surveys inside product, as well as target and kind of filter down to only show surveys that particularly matter. So I've got a little fake app here that I'm going to use for the purposes of my demo, and I'm going to try and get a survey. If everything goes to plan, I'm going to try and get a survey here targeted at me to pop up in the course of this demo. So I've got a little bit of data flowing into Sprig, but what I want to do is really accomplish what Matt was just describing. I want to go and target users that have converted through one of those lower intent channels into the product, and then send them a targeted survey so that I can understand, are they enjoying the product as much as maybe the rest of my user base here. So what I want to do is actually get into Sprig a property about users that indicates whether they were paid or not. So what I'm going to do first is just give a real high level overview of the steps to get that into Sprig, and then I'll show you what that looks like once it's there. So as I mentioned right at the start, the way that Census works, we plug into a data warehouse where all of that data about your users is kind of floating around, and you can get it into Census in a variety of different ways. For my purposes here, I've written some SQL, and I'm going to pull out all my user records here. I've got a bunch of different pieces of information about them, including the source that they came from. I'm not going to send it all, though. I'm going to use Audience Hub to build a segment just to send the paid channel users into Sprigs for targeting. So my next step here is to create an audience. I've actually got one created already. It's a really basic one. My source is just paid. I could obviously add a number of other different properties here. I could reference which teams they're a member of if I wanted to only look at people who have maybe on subscription or that sort of thing. But for now, I'm just going to stick with my source is paid. But I need to get that activated or pushed into Sprig. So I'm going to go ahead and set up what we call in Census a sync. I'm going to use a template that I've already created for this. So I'm going to get that over, and we can see that there's a number of different properties here. I'm going to sync, including source. That's the one that I care about for the purposes of running this survey. So I'm going to run that now. And Sprig's API is really, really fast. So this should get it over here in no time at all. In the meantime, I'll take a look at the survey that I've already set up. And this survey, I am not the Sprig power user that I should be yet. So I'm going to be watching a couple of their webinars here to learn a little bit more. But the way that I've got my survey set up here is I've got my question. I want to ask people how they felt about using the product. They're going to give me a smiley scale, which is really, really nice and handy. And I'm going to target that based on anybody who is viewing a page, but I could be more specific about specific events or user interactions, like say visited the billing page or saw an error message or something like that. And then in this case, I only want to show that to users who are on that paid plan. Now I've got my user in session here. We'll just go and make sure that all of those properties that I just synced over from Census made it there, including, yep, paid. And so now if I go ahead and refresh my app.
Yeah, that is so cool. Just that you can say, take my users that signed up from paid, find them in the product, send them a specific survey to say, how did you feel while exploring the product, and just get a sense of product experience and product satisfaction just for that paid group of users that you want to find out, are they as efficient as the rest of your users? Yeah. And one really neat thing is on that screen you just showed, Sean, where you see the smileys for the users to rank them on
Yep.
Bo.io. If someone goes here and they give you a 5, they give you a 1, whatever it is, you can also in Sprig add a session replay to the study, so you can find out not just what did they rate you, but also what happened right before, right after in the product when they gave you that rating, so that you really have the context for, where is it that my paid users either love the product so I can optimize their journey toward that, or where are they getting stuck so I can make sure my expensive paid users are maybe not getting directed to that flow right away.
I will say, as part of setting up this demo, it felt really, really powerful, really freeing to be able to go from data, segment, and idea into this is a really quick question that I can ask my users in context and quickly get clarity. I didn't get a bunch of people to run through my study beforehand, so I have less of an interesting response page at this point. But that's for the next demo.
Yeah, once you get into it, I'm not gonna lie, it is pretty addicting to be able to answer these questions so quickly.
And that's just one of the use cases that we were exploring as part of demoing Census and Sprig. And Matt actually had a couple of other really interesting ones that we wanted to share here in the last couple of minutes. So maybe we can run through those really quickly as well here, Matt.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, so every marketer out there has this. It's just, how can I, after my webinar, after my event, send the best follow-up email to these users? And instead of just sending everybody the same event again, the same follow-up, if we segment those emails based on where users are in the product journey, so no conversion at all yet, low intent conversion, signed up but not activated, signed up and activated, or already a customer, you can really customize which CTAs people are getting. So if you've got users that are non-activated and they just went to a webinar that has product information, like, what a great chance to send them to the right place to activate. Or if you have users that are in the product, activated, not paid, definitely segment that follow-up to direct them toward more paid features. For our next example, I actually just saw, I think, yeah, Brett in the chat referencing something a little similar to this. So this is when we've got free users in our free product, but they're interacting with upgrade related functionality. So if they use that functionality more, they're going to have to become paid users. And Brett in our chat here just referenced something similar. If your users are interacting with the paid sections of your docs, so again, they're trying to find out more about this upgrade related functionality. So one thing we do at Sprig, when someone does this, we automate follow-up emails to them from marketing, sort of under the guise of looking like an SDR. We also route the users to SDRs for more high-value consultative follow-up, including follow-up that kind of requires a bit more of some personal problem solving or product support. And then we also, in the product, when someone's interacting with an upgrade related feature, we give them the option to book a meeting directly on the calendar of the right product support or salesperson, so that they can just move right ahead to that upgrade functionality and not be blocked. And this actually doubled our sign up to meeting booked rate in 30 days.
Wow.
Just really zooming in on, if someone wants the thing that they need to pay for, let's make that as absolutely as easy as possible.
And then the last one here, the kind of the other side of the conversions.
Yeah, so this is a case where I think Census's Audience Hub would be extremely strong, which is how do we retain and engage our customers? Again, every revenue team out there right now is thinking about how do we retain our dollars, and probably an upsell related dollar is a little cheaper than a net new dollar today. In this, every net new contract is going to the CFO. It's much harder to sign new customers than it was before. So in terms of how do we zero in on our customers that could be upsold or retained. So one thing that you can do is build a low product engagement audience. So who are all of your customers who are not logging in as much as often as much as they usually would be, who are maybe not using the features where they see value, not having that aha moment or that value moment happen as frequently. Again, in the Calendly example, it would be if they've gone from, booking 20 meetings a month to 10 meetings a month, they're seeing half as much value there. That audience might be, you might say, ones where nobody's signing up for our events. We have very low, interactions with them, where maybe our Salesforce email history back and forth is thinner than it used to be. We used to have 60 emails a month, and now we only have 30 emails a month from our customer success team to them. So across all of this, building what's our low engagement audience, where's our portion of our customers that we need to double down to retain them. And then instead of sending really high touch outreach to all of your customers, like, of course, we wish we could send very personal, very high touch outreach to every customer, but maybe we can only host lunch and learns with 10 customers a month or 100 customers a month. Or maybe we can only, send gift cards as a incentive to attend our event to a certain number of customers. So then we know we can send these at our customers that are really going to need that to drive the engagement. And you can actually test this by seeing, what was our engagement last month, which customers did we choose to have an intervention with, and then what was the engagement this month.
Now, I know we're about to switch over to Q&A here. So folks, if you have questions, feel free to start typing them out now. We'd love to answer them. But I am really interested in that last bullet point there, Matt, where Sprig keeps teams hyper-focused. What does it mean to, I guess, keep the team hyper-focused?
Yeah. So a great example is we are a very multi-user product, right? You just saw Sprig. You've probably got PMs using it. You've got engineers with questions. You've got a user research team. You've got, marketers really curious about the down funnel impacts of campaigns. So at Sprig, when we're thinking about how do we engage a customer, we're really thinking, how do we get more people at this account using the product as opposed to a smaller group of power users. So how we do that is often our customer success team hosting lunch and learns with our customer, where we get a few power users to invite a broader group. We may or may not sponsor lunch or send Uber Eats gift cards for that group. So when we're thinking about, how can we host the most impactful lunch and learns and not just ask our customer success team to, host a lunch and learn every day all month, we're providing them insight into who are their already engaged customers and who are their customers that might need some help to be more engaged. And then as a marketing team, we're also thinking, okay, who are our customers where we can really double down on incentives to get maximum attendance at this lunch and learn? So where should we be spending a lot on Uber Eats gift cards, to be very open, versus where our customers where they're pretty engaged. They just need a little nudge. We don't need to drive, 5 or 10 or 20 more stakeholders to this training.
Interesting. Okay. I feel like we could have an entire separate session just on that, but we're wrapping up on time here. Thank you, Matt, for all of the time and all of the lessons shared. Really, really appreciate it. If you have questions for folks in the audience, please share them now. Would love to take advantage of Matt's time while we've got him here to answer a little bit more of the questions. I'm doing a quick scroll in chat, and other than I think the next session we'll have to do with Brett because he had a bunch of really good suggestions for audiences as well. I guess, Matt, just to kick us off, is there any audience of the ones that we've talked about today, maybe even different ones, that come to mind as having the biggest impact on the business? Maybe that's revenue, maybe that's engagement or something different. But anything come to mind is sort of the one unlock? Maybe that's unfair.
Yeah, I have a couple favorites. One I will say, especially in this environment, I think teams are becoming more focused on bottom of funnel audiences. So not broad brand advertising, but who is this close to converting and paying us or this close to becoming an upsell. So I think actually some of the audiences Brett shared of who is already on our website, already in our free product, already looking at upgrade related functionality, who has already added a team member, and they might just need one call from our sales team or one in-person event invitation, one high touch outreach to convert. I think teams are really zeroing in on that group. And another group that we didn't talk about earlier, but I think is so impactful, is who are our top power users? Who are the 5 or 10 or 20 users of our product who know as much as our product manager knows about that product? So who is in there every day? It's a big part of their role. They can really speak to the ROI. And that super power user group, when you're thinking about how can I get some, how can I boost our next product launch? Who is going to be the great mouthpiece for this? Looking at your extremely engaged customers, log in 15 times in the last month, that level of super user engagement, or has added 20 colleagues in the last 6 months, that person is the champion. So if you get that group of just super power users and think about, should I send them swag? Should I invite them to an in-person event I know they're going to post online about? Should I target them specifically for a really high value referral campaign where they can send me people that look just like them as my future customers? I think that, total power audience is a really great one to be aware of.
Cool. Okay. I don't see any other questions from the audience at this point. If you got any last minute inspiration or follow-ups here, would love to hear them. But otherwise, I'll ask a pet question of mine just to close us out here, Matt. I know that you're finishing up a vacation at this point, so thanks again for taking time with us. But anything you're excited to add to your stack this year? Any tools, products, practices that are top of mind for you? You've only mentioned AI once, so this is your opportunity.
Okay. That is a great question. And also, Sean, I just wanted to thank you and the Census team for having me on. This is one of my favorite topics to talk about, and love the great comments from our audience here. In terms of tools I'm thinking of adding to my stack, I am gonna go with two. One of them is some kind of AI messaging solution. Have not, decided on one yet, but I think at this point there is enough smart prompt engineering that I, instead of saying send a webinar follow-up email with this customized CTA like we just talked about, if I could have a AI messaging that said send webinar follow-up to this person with this customized CTA and personalize the first line. I would be really curious to try that at scale with an AI messaging tool without human in the loop intervention. So just something that could do it fully automated. I'd love to try that. And the other tool is a product demo platform. It's really hard to build a product demo for non-logged in users that is fully up to date with your live product, with the right features switched on and switched off with Launch Darkly or whatever it is. And I know there's a few really neat companies out there coming out with fully live product demo software that supports really smart versioning. So I'm definitely thinking about that too. And also I should add, because I'm on this webinar, but also because I've been thinking about it forever, definitely more reverse ETL technology to enable more of this data. I didn't
That
even
was
think
not a
of it.
plug,
I
but
just,
appreciate
no,
you
but
saying so.
totally. Like I just take it for granted that, like, of course I'm going to do that. So I don't even need to talk about it. But yes, that is one of the no-brainers.
Cool. Well, thank you, Matt. We got one last question here, and then we'll wrap up. Getting back to our topic about audiences. Any red herring audiences? Any seems like it should work, probably not worth your time. Lessons to share as a closing thought.
Ooh, that is a good question. I would say one area I think companies get tripped up on, if you're used to having a very top-down sales motion that is your inbound marketing is get the decision maker to book a demo and get the decision maker on a call, and then you've switched to a more user-led journey that again involves self-serve product demos, self-serve product sign up. I think a lot of companies are still thinking, I want to send that top decision maker contract signer in here. And like, let's be real, your top C-level, VP level buyer like may not invest a couple hours in playing with your free product and may not have all of that context to do that successfully. And for them, a demo may still be the appropriate conversion. So really lining up your audience to your conversion point. So it may be someone you wouldn't normally target, an individual contributor who is not a contract signer. That may be the right person to send to your free product.
I think it's a really good note to wrap up on, especially when talking about PLG. For anybody out there who's thinking about what PLG might involve or change as part of the organization, some of these things are not necessarily intuitive to start.
Yeah.
Thank you.
We could talk all day, but
yeah. Well, we should let everyone get on with their days. Matt, thank you so much for the time, the really interesting conversation, for sharing your lessons with myself and with everyone here in the audience. Thank you, everyone who joined us today. Really appreciate your questions and thoughts, your contributions, and wish you all a best of luck in your audience creation. We'll talk to you soon.